gonna take a breath and warm up because I've been sitting in the most urban of urban environments, a car, traffic, New York City for the last 2 hours coming from Long Island. And this book, I guess, to segue and introduce it, is not about urban environments. It's about our ecology, which, being back in Brooklyn, and I mean, I took Atlantic Avenue in, so I didn't see, like some of the best parts, but it's nice to be adjacent to water here. This is my newest book, Nothing You Build Here Belongs Here, and the title poem, which I'll start with, was inspired by a plane ride over the southwest United States, in which I felt like this was the voice of what I saw. So to orient, my mountains could care less about you. Steel structures clinging, tendrils rising, curling fingers, desperate, lonely, clutching, dry and desolate. You buried basements and pools, trying, as only the hairless do, to stay cool. As if the heat is a thing you could hide from. There's no road between my breasts, blooming, tremble at the sight, at the tracing of lines, at the endless rising, billowing hills, blanketed Madrean sky islands, tectonic tumbling seams of the Sierra Madre. Pine oaks peek out, ancient alpine mountains of my desert sea. My arid grasslands cradle peaks named with expiring words, Huachaca, Peñaleño, Santa Catalina, cached mercury, tints, dirt, hemmed, edges of tan, yellow, gray, pivoting irrigation centers of green grays spitting out dust. From 34,000 feet, think of me as a woman, pores leaking salt, exerted, worked, squeezed, ridged and wild, bodied peaks climbing and falling, pruning the stones, years of water tumbling back to my seas. I am the desert Hera, sucking you dry, absorbing your waterless body into hers, remanding you who came to harvest, to marvel, to take, back to metal coffins you built, to the grounds they were mined. For nothing you build here belongs here. Perhaps it does, though, because we built this and we're reading poetry we built upon it. So this book is also filled with COVID poems, pieces that I wrote as I assembled the collection. Some short ones, impressions, present sense impressions of what I was seeing at the time. Some of them train inspired, like this is Clorox Wellbutrin. A disinfectant wind wafts across subway platforms we surfed, wide leg to work, breaking. Italy locks down Lombardy, 17 million quarantined, breaking. Senator self-quarantines, gives sign of the cross from television screens. Behind my eyes is your square jaw. I trace your lips. Breaking news, cracking soft skulls, bones shattering, bullets breaking. Is the virus in your head like this one? Coiled, snake-like, until the cool metal of the trigger fires at the disease. No amount of Clorox, hand washing, social distancing can sanitize. Because obviously there are some viruses that have been with us much longer, right? Another COVID-inspired one. This is called Kissing Nowadays. Lips lost behind new clothes, my children's green eyes wide. Above masks covering noses, shyly they giggle, say I must have lied when I tell them we used to touch mouths to show we were happy. A lot of this book, I mean, I call it ecological, but also the skeleton and the bones of it hold different voices that I think, for me, evoke a sort of longing, but also what I was looking for, grieving. I was speaking to a young woman on the way over here about grieving and loss and what that process looks like. And it's not just death, right? Like, death is one way to grieve and one way to acknowledge absence, but there are many other ways that humans lose things and have to acknowledge absence through grief. This one's called The Three Shades. 3 hooded men sit, knees pressed to chests, foreheads falling together on the curb, not quite a prayer circle. The needles lay littered, Chick-fil-A styrofoam cups dance semicircles between feet, some shoed, some toes. Exposed from grayed socks I sniff, from the stench of days-old urine on cloth, smelling only syrup-thick, yellow honey heaviness, tree pollen whipped. Lighter as 4 p.m. descends on a breeze, carrying contagions, the 3 on the nod. From too much junk, slowing labored lungs, still as cut bronze heads and shoulders hung so low, so lost in Sister Morphine's seductive dose. Depressing respiration, the 3 shades, barely breathing. Surrender one battle, one corner. COVID, the queen, burns through the streets with her world war. The title from that comes from it's the name of a Rodin statue, and there's, if any of you like sculpture, Rodin has, the 3 shades is 3 people with their heads together. And so were the 3 people in that poem. This is one of the poems that Jerry mentioned, the echo poems. I'll read it. This is a Tennyson-inspired poem. So the way I did these was I was returning to like the classics, whatever that means, Whitman, Blake, Tennyson, looking for war poems at the time when a lot of our leaders were talking about COVID as a war and using those types of words. So I looked for poems that use those words too, just to see what I could do with the words. And so this is called Breathe In, A People's War, and it's after the poem The Charge of the Light Brigade by Tennyson. 1. Half a month, half a month, half a month forward. Watched world of the screen, transmitting ISP, my heart. Breathe in a people's war, stay in your homes, they said, a world of screens transmitting ISP, our hearts. 2. Breathe in the people's war, whose viral enemy? Digitized battle lines, citizens shall sanitize, their hands washed, their touch undermined, theirs not to hold, nor redefine. Into the world of the screens, transmit ISP, my heart. 3. Patients to the right, patients to the left, patients in front, cough and heave, doubled over, hot in hell, sick mixed with the well, 14 days alone, broken, abject, unknown. Transmit us, ISP, these hearts. 4. Skeptics kept faces bare, unmasked in naked air, shunned orders everywhere, immune to rule while the rest of us wondered, huddled home, sheltered in place, the unmasked shout, seasonal or lab-made, reeled from economic collapse, shuttered businesses plundered, false facts across news wires, transmit me, ISP, my heart. 5. Patient to the right, patient to the left, patients in front, cough and heave, doubled over, hot in hell, sick mixed with the well, doctor and inflicted died, nurses, clerks, drivers fell. 14 days more alone. Distancing into phones, becoming digitized, transmit me, ISP, this heart. Maybe I should have flagged that an ISP, for anybody who doesn't know the acronym, because acronyms in my world job are like, everyone says an acronym and they like expect you to know what it is. An ISP is Internet Service Protocol. It's just like a way to refer to your web address. So everybody has the computer and you have an ISP that refers to you as like a person, which is so weird. How long do I have?
15 minutes if I would have time.
I don't know when I started, so. Okay. This poem, this collection includes some of my older work too. That's in Reasons, and I'll read one of those poems from this book to plug my first book. I think it's called Some Will Die. Riverside Drive Park, dark Hudson water. Imagined as blue, as the pen swirling Ayn Rand to pixels, making maps, making sense that you can read now, decipher. Hold hands, eyes darting forward at a time, backwards to check the crosswalk and catching an empty sculpture, the invisible man. Harlem's bronze body outlining trees, wet like lashes, blinking back little star twinkles, mimetics from the George Washington Bridge. As specific as the day the lady died, always remembering over lunch and coffee alone. If the worst we have to worry about is airborne calamity, Sara or Ebola, then how to take the next inspiration of breath. Chemical thoroughfare is barely affordable, atrocious anomaly, yet bring them all here, broken systems, beautiful ruins, gleaming with interferon in slick black suitcases, swindled by the Swifty, suits claiming to carry booze in black bags to put home in the fridge. Lock away the riches, don't be charitable. Competition sharpens, bolsters. How must you teach a starving man to fish? Some will die. And that one is in here because it was written in 2015, whenever Ebola was, I have to look back at the notes in here, but years ago, and one more. And I thought it was appropriate to include in this collection because of the nature of the time that we're in. Okay, I'll read one. This last one is called To Shostakovich During a Pandemic. Shostakovich, the composer, if you're a fan. Dear Dmitri, studying piano in Petrograd, composing mournful rises for a single sailing violin, meeting a cello harmony huddled in the string quartet, close to her deeply sighing symphonies, exhaling evening in the fall to the pillow. Did you ever imagine Stalin's 5-year plan banning the avant-garde? At the Boys' Conservatory, did you imagine then the inhaled years of your life would leave you in armfuls of song, sailing upwards towards me, to this unknown future, the warmth of your fifth, drawn in history, crystalline, classic? Teaching at Leningrad, your seventh, born amidst World War I, shedding youth by the millions, crying out for lullabies, humming them in bloody pits. Do you hear me calling to you, a century laid on tear-stained pillows, wrapped in the 8th's Cold War, a fall from grace, oboes trilling demure, announcing death in the 14th, fearing no communist, no government, meeting compositions, kisses, eulogies. I dance with you in these empty streets. Do you hear me? My voice raised? Thank you.
Thank you.